In this case, we only have one family, Yitzchak's family. And Hashem wants to try to make things difficult so that we can overcome. We learned once in the Akedah that the word nisayon, test, trial, is from the word nes, to make a banner, to uplift us, to exalt us, to overcome the difficulties. So, Yitzchak, like his father Avram Avinu, when Avram experienced severe famine, he went down to Mitzrayim to survive, to continue the blessings of God. So now too, Yitzchak, like his father, is experiencing a famine. So maybe he does want to go down to where? To Mitzrayim. Would you please tell me? Are you the cab driver? Which way? How do you get down to Mitzrayim? There's the coastal road called Eretz Plishtim. The Plishtim road borders the what? The coast. And if you keep on going down the coast, from Plishtim you get to Sinai. From Sinai you'll get to Egypt. That's a quick way. You don't want to go through the difficult road, going through the difficult deserts. So gentlemen, Yitzchak thinks, I'll go the short way down to Mitzrayim. I'll go via the land of the Plishtim. Now, would it be dangerous to go to the Plishtim area? Yes or no?
Okay.
You forgot? There's a brit, there's a covenant between Avram Avinu and Avimelech is a general name, just like Caesar is a name for the Romans, and Arthur, what's the name of the British kings? George are the names of the kings. Many Georges. So too, Avimelech. It could be a different Avimelech. It could even the other one expired. So interesting. In the Eretz Plishtim, there's no Rav. There's no famine there. Okay? Why? Because the famine is to affect Yitzchak Avinu. So Yitzchak thought together that he's going to go down to Mitzrayim, and maybe, wow, what did he learn from his father? Who remembers the Brit Ben Abitarim, the covenant of the pieces? What was decreed to Avram Avinu? You're going to go down to a land which is not yours. And you'll be in servitude. Could it be that Yitzchak going down to Mitzrayim, he's thinking right now that the Galut will now begin, as decreed in the famous prophecy to Avram Avinu, Brit Ben Abitarim. Now, you had a question you wanted to say, Yosef?
No, I answered the question.
I answered
the question. I confused if this is the same Abimelech. Yeah.
So it could be not. So here we are. We're now in between. We're in between one famine and now the coming of the second famine. So we said before, according to Chazal, it's about 100 years have passed. Okay? And just like the objective was then to test Avram Avinu, okay? To teach us that there's divine supervision in the world, so too now, after 100 years have passed, people began to think in the world, the world goes according to natural order. There's no divine supervision in the world. Maybe things have been forgotten, what used to happen. So now Hashem is bringing a famine to the land of Canaan during the time of Yitzchak Avinu, and he wants to show his wonderful supervision on Yitzchak. Okay, he goes down to there, and what does he get? He gets a what? A vision from God. He gets a vision from God, Vayera Elav Hashem, and now, mission number 1, Al Tereid Mitzrayim. So it's clear to us that Avram Avinu wanted to go down to Mitzrayim. How do we know? Because it tells him, don't go down to Mitzrayim. Why not? His father was allowed to go down to Mitzrayim, wasn't he? Yes or no? Except for the Ramban's opinion, Nachmanides, which we didn't bring. Ramban thought that Avram failed in his test, but we're not going to get into that right now. Why not allow? His father was allowed to go down. He wanted to be like his father, yes? So, very good. The Rashi, if you see Rashi, gentlemen, verse 2, Al Tereid Mitzrayim, Rashi brings a Midrash Rabbah, Shahaya dato l'redet Mitzrayim kemo she'yarada v'bimei harav. He thought he'd do the same identical thing like his father. Marlo, therefore God says to him, Al Tereid Mitzrayim. Why? Shata ola timima. Can you repeat those two words? Ola timima. You are a perfect, complete, offering. Ve'ein chutz la'aretz kedai lecha. Wow. Chutz la'aretz, going abroad, going down to Mitzrayim, is not fit for you. You're so holy, Yitzchak Avinu. You can't go and leave this country. You don't belong to Chutz la'aretz. Chutz la'aretz is the land of a defiled land, and so forth. And therefore, you can't go down there. So what should you do? Shechon ba'aretz. And then he says, Gur ba'aretz hazot. If we study this in more depth and contemplate two verbs, shechon and gur, there could be, according to some commentaries, and my dear father writes this in one of his articles, there could be a double lesson that God is telling Yitzchak Avinu. On the one hand, shechon. So Sir Pearl Parlow said a moment ago, shechon from the word shachein, neighbor. A neighborhood is called a shchuna. I want you to plant trees, build houses, build a neighborhood. Can go into the ministry of housing, build a shchuna. That's what the Midrash says. Of course, that's for the future. On the other hand, gur ba'aretz hazot. We studied last week the term gur, like the word ger. What did we say here in our learnings? I mean, ger refers to what? No. What? To sojourn, a stranger, someone that you don't belong here. Look, two opposing messages. On the one hand, shchon, which is to be here forever, permanent. Build a shchuna, build a neighborhood. Be in the land where God's shechina, divine presence, can be. But maybe until then, gur ba'aretz hazot. Live here in the temporary time until things become better as a stranger. Be under the status, okay? There are people that become an oleh chadash, and they get their ID, their Israeli ID. And there are people that don't get immediately an ID. They get what's called temporary residence. Okay? Temporary residence. Have you seen that, heard that before? So too here. This double message, God saying, Shchon, for the future, you're going to build the Shechina, you're going to build neighborhoods, you're going to be developing the land. Right now, there's no money, there's no food. So in the meantime, gur from the word ger, be here as a stranger temporarily. And that explains the contradiction. Why? I'm reading verse 3. I'm going to be with you. Vavarcheka. And you're going to get what? You're going to get a blessing. Ki lecha ulezaracha, for you and your seed, attain it kol haratzot ha'el. All these lands of the land of Israel, all the different districts, they're going to be given to you. Vakimotita shvua, and I'll establish my oath, asher nishbati l'Avram avicha. So gentlemen, here in the land of Israel, Yitzchak is revealed by God, a great prophecy, a great revelation. Some explain that Yitzchak right now is 75 years old. Okay? 75 years old after the wondrous, miraculous birth of Yitzchak from a woman that was barren for so long. Now he gets this tremendous revelation of God's supervision on you. And here going to be the land. God is proving to Yitzchak that his supervision will be here in the land. This is called Eretz HaShechina, the land of God's power, God's presence. And you're going to grow here, as we see in verse 4. Vir beiti et zaracha kichochvei hashamayim. The stars of the sky don't have to be understood as a quantitative blessing, but this could be a qualitative blessing. And therefore, kochav, a star, is symbolic of light, goodness, values. I don't know if you saw a clip last night, but as we're trying to have the Gaza people move as far south as possible, and a few 100,000, thank God, have been moving, and we're escorting them, believe it or not. We're trying to prevent the Hamas terrorists from shooting at them, and we're endangering our lives. And yes, last night there was even some units found some Gaza people standing on the beach. I don't know if you agree or not, but they came with a 6-pack of water and offered to these women and men water instead of shooting at them. They didn't shoot at them. It was as if they're not involved people. And I'm sure when that's put out over the world and they see, and that we're even negotiating with the administrator of the hospital that houses thousands and thousands of terrorists, to have the city of terrorism down below, as far as bringing them enough benzene, enough delek, gasoline, so that their generators can work and they can keep the oxygens going for all the disabled and injured people. So you see the heart of the Jewish people. I don't think the Americans did that in Afghanistan or in Iraq with their B-52 bombers. What? Okay, I hear what you're saying. So I think it's a tactical thing also, so that Biden gives Israel more time. Look how, I don't know if he's going to do it anyway. In any event, quality. The Kochvei Hashamayim is related to something very, very special. But I want to end today's shiur and say the following. On the one hand, we were told Avram Avinu was already given the bracha that he's going to be blessed like the dust of the earth. Do you remember that? Vaya zaracha ke'afar haaretz. Therefore, many commentators explain this blessing to Yitzchak, ki kochvei hashamayim. It can't be identical to the blessing that your seed shall be like the dust of the earth. Otherwise, what's the novelty in the blessing? Therefore, many argue that Kochvei Hashamayim is like what I just explained here, that the men of Israel, the descendants of Yitzchak Avinu, will be men of great virtue, men of spiritual dignity. They will illuminate the world, goodness of the world, like the stars of heaven. So therefore here, Kochvei Hashamayim can be that. But you should also know, and we're going to learn about Yitzchak Avinu. Yitzchak Avinu will also represent economic abundance. Not Avraham and not Yaakov, but Yitzchak Avinu. How he's representing economic abundance? How is there a pipeline that connects between heaven and earth through Yitzchak Avinu? For this and more in tomorrow's shiur.